it says, "Darling, I wanted to be with you to celebrate your 25th anniversary, but I was celebrating my 25th as well. My 25th husband, that is." And of course, if Ben Alderson is going to be at any type of a chance where he gets to speak, Teddy Kennedy is going to be there too. A little message, and I'll try to repeat it in Teddy's own words. I think it's a wonderful thing to be celebrating your 25th wedding anniversary. So on behalf of all of my colleagues in the Senate, I want to congratulate you on this excellent accomplishment. And it's signed Edward Kennedy, Senator from Massachusetts. And there's a P.S. on the bottom. It says, "Jeri, what are you doing later on tonight?" And it's written on a bag, and it's written with a crayon. And it says, "Dear Mr. and Mrs. Nichols, how are you? I am fine. I am the Vice President. What do you do? Happy 25th anniversary. Sincerely, Dan Quayle." But I really would like to ask a couple of people within our group to come up and just maybe share something about Gordon and Jeri that's meaningful to them. Maybe something in a funny sense or something in a serious sense. It's kind of up to them. What I'd like to do is ask Ronnie.
I'm probably going to recall something that somebody already has planned to recall, but that's the privilege, I guess, of being first. Of course, I was around when this union began, and was party to it, and it's been, for me, a wonderful 25 years to see these two lovebirds and the family they've raised. And I guess from a recollection point of view, the thing, since my mind is not all that fresh anymore, if I can remember something from last year, I think it's going to be good. A mushroom there. We went on a cruise together, Gordie and Jeri and Sherry and I and her mom and Aunt Fernie. A meal, but I'm not even sure she got to all the meals. Until one day she was sharing with us that she'd been taking this motion sickness medicine, and had been, I guess, since before the trip started. And it made her so groggy that all she wanted to do was head back to her cabin. When she decided that the motion was less of a problem than the medication, she finally came out of it, looked all bright-eyed, and enjoyed the rest of the cruise. And lo and behold, one day, Gordie won the big jackpot. About $1,200. Wonderful marriage and raising a fine family.
Being Geraldine's sister, and I want you to know I did the best I could to raise her. It's not my fault. I was a very spoiled 4-year-old when my mom shipped me off to stay with my aunt for a couple of weeks. And I came back and there was this little tiny wiggly package, and all anybody said was, "Doesn't she have beautiful blue eyes?" She does. And we all love the twinkle and the smile that's in those beautiful blue eyes. And I have Geraldine to thank for my career as a sales type of person. You may not know this, but when she was tiny, she used to throw things. And the way I found out I was a natural-born saleswoman was the day I talked her out of throwing brick at me. Best buddies. And their names were Gordie, Ronnie, and Billy. And her biggest lament to Mom one day is, "Mom, you ever think they'll realize I'm a girl?" Fortunately, Gordie did. The picture is the gift of making you feel loved, wanted. She has the gift of being helpful and of giving darn good advice to all those people who show up at her house, drink her iced tea, and sit and talk with her for a while. Gordon has the wonderful gifts of always being there to help his friends. And I know there are many in this room who have called on Gordon at times when there weren't other people to talk to. We just say, God bless you both because you've been a blessing in our lives, and we just wish you continued years of happiness.
In the first place, we were almost late for his wedding because his dad and he and I sat there talking, waiting until time to go, and all of a sudden we realized that the time had passed and we were almost late. But we went then after the wedding, when the reception was over and the bride and groom went, it was the First Methodist Church, you know, and the reception was in the fellowship hall, and after it was all over, they went upstairs to change their clothes. And Jeri went and changed her clothes, her mother helped her and took all the time she wanted and came out, and everybody was waiting to throw rice on them. Gordie didn't come, and he didn't come, and we didn't know what had happened to him. Somebody went up to look for him. He'd been locked in the pastor's study.
One of those came up about 8 years, maybe 9 years ago now. Davy Crockett, myself, Doug Strickland, and Gordon went off to Georgia. And about the time that Gordon began to put together the manger scene, for those of you who might recall, was just a grandiose little store for Christian books and musical trinkets and all the nice things that were available through the Christian groups of businesses. Gordon says, I want this thing to look right. I just want everything right. So he heard of a fellow who had an old barn in Petersburg, so the four of us decided about 2 o'clock one morning to fly to this city, which we didn't know where it was and didn't know what we were going to do there, didn't have any tools, but we're inventive too, so we decided, well, let's do it, let's go. So the four of us on a Wonderment took a plane, we get to Atlanta, we rented a car. I don't remember the name of the city, quite honestly, but there are so many parts to this story that when we got there, it was foggy, and unfortunately, the very barn we were supposed to tear down was burning down. Gordon, being resourceful, says, where's another barn? We'll just keep looking until we find one, right? Well, it was on Georgia Power property. And while they were burning these buildings because they were trying to create a preserve, and they were flooding it for whatever purposes were necessary, the guy came over and says, come here, what are you here for? And he explained why we wanted the particular barn. We wanted to use the siding to put on the building to make it look old and quaint, and to dress it up on the inside so it looked kind of like an old manger. Well, this guy comes over to us and he says, I know where there's a barn you can have. Gordon says, where? He says, well, there's a guy over here, and it's been there for years, and it's kind of, instead of being like this, it's kind of like that. So it's ready to go anyhow. So Davy and we all get in the car, and for the most part, Davy Crockett and Doug Strickland are pretty well technically oriented. Now, Gordon has a hard time driving a hammer because he doesn't know which end of the nail to use. Well, we got to this site, and this house is really not in bad repair from the outside, but when we went inside, there was newspaper inside on the walls. We were thinking, well, we'll just tear the walls down and we'll put the lumber outside. Well, we had rented a semi, what looked like a semi, it was probably 25 feet long, and Doug Strickland had backed it in, and we were loading this lumber, literally, and the boards had to be, what, 20 feet long, probably did? Pulling nails in, we're putting this lumber in the truck. Gordon says, what can I do to be helpful? I look over at Dave and I think, where can we send it? What are we going to do with him? He was so gracious. He bought us lunch. He bought us airfare. Where can we send him? He said, we need rope. Go get some rope. Well, he got in the car, this little vehicle we had rented, and he takes off for the nearest community. Now, I couldn't have been 15 minutes away. And you can count your friends, and I have a true friend in Gordon.
I've always been 5 years ahead of him in everything. He's always been trying to catch up for five years behind. So when we got married, he was still a kid. And we had our first baby in 1959 when he was, I don't know, he was a teenager anyway. And then we had one in 61, 63, 65, 67. And in 67, they decided to start catching up, and they had Natalie. Well, we were about ready to stop, so they took up, they didn't want Mother to have an odd number year with no grandchild. And so they had one in 69, 71. But in 73, everybody was doing it. So Jeri and I both had a big finale. We both had one that year. Well, they had enough girls and we had enough boys. So Jeri ordered a boy and I ordered another girl. Well, the stork, they were only 4 days apart, and the stork got our orders mixed up. I think it was a flamingo, actually. And she got Nicole and we got Timothy. So ever since then, because we didn't have but one daughter, she graciously loans us one of her daughters whenever we need one to go on a trip with us. But you know, she never has asked to borrow another son. And she's been my sister in the Lord, and we've shared an awful lot of good times, we've shared grief, we've shared a lot of times of praise and celebration. And I just want to take a minute right now to just praise the Lord for that night 25 years ago when you two got married.
Gordie, Gordie, Gordie. God bless you. What I want to do is remember 3 real distinct things that happened to Gordie and myself. I remember a time when the U.S. Army decided to send Gordie north. The U.S. Navy decided to send me south, and the Viet Cong applauded a lot. I remember a distinct time in my life when I worked for Gordie. And Frank Musto and Gordie were partners. And every once in a while, Gordie would take off to buy cars. And Gordie was born with a car in his mouth. Have you ever seen a rambler in somebody's mouth? Well, that was Gordie. And Gordie would take off somewhere, and Frank, I still call him my brother-in-law. Janet says I can't, but I do. And Frank would look at Gordie when he came back from Orlando or Lakeland, wherever he was at, and said, "Nichols, what the hell did you do?" And he would come back with his neatest car in the world. Anyway, so that was my second experience with Gordie. The third experience with Gordie that I'll never forget is he and I have a very, none of you men will appreciate this, I'm sure, but Gordie and I have distinct problems breaking steel balls with rubber hammers. If it has more than 2 moving parts, Gordie and I have problems doing it. I don't understand why. Gordie, it has been delightful. You are a true experience. And I know when we get to heaven, you and Buck and a half Musto and I are going to have a heart-to-heart talk. God bless you.
But I just want to take a minute and just say thanks to my mom and dad because ever since I was 2 years old, I didn't think I needed parents. And my mom, okay, 16 months old. In fact, by the time I could talk, my mother said I came up with the most amazing facts, and she would look at me and ask me where I learned that at 2 years old, and I would put my hand on my hip and say, "Well, Mommy, I've always known that." I just think that now, by the time that I'm 22 years old, I've learned that it's kind of nice to have parents, and I'm finally at a time where I'm off on my own, and it's just really nice to be back and to see them, and to thank God that they are my parents, and they're also my friends. Thanks, Mom, Dad.
Yeah. From Tallahassee with our family. Actually, first time we've seen our son since Christmas because he's working up north and all that kind of stuff. So we're all camping down at Fort DeSoto, and you know we had to go across the street to take a shower and get all dressed and all that stuff. But I'm glad we're here. Many of you do not know that, that Gordie and Jeri and Ronnie and I skipped school one day. It's the only day I ever skipped school. Yep. I'd such would like to have that so you could poop one for their side, you know. But I do remember that. We went swimming that day and had a good time, as a matter of fact. And, boy, my memories of Gordie and Jeri go back a long, long. In fact, the only time I ever remember seeing Aunt Jessie lose her temper was when we broke a lamp at her house in Cub Scouts one time. A long time ago. She told us we probably needed to go home. It's wonderful to be here and to know that that I have had the privilege over these several years of having two people, the quality and the blessing that they bring to my life and to your lives as well, of Gordie and Jeri. They're really special. And I'm very glad. I wish I could see you. Actually, these are not sitting. I see where you are, and I can see you waving your hand. But if I do this, it makes me go like that. But, the hearing is going too, so I need to hear that. I think. I don't know. Things don't work quite as well as they used to, but then again, 25 years. Ellen and I had our 25th wedding anniversary Halloween. She still gets upset when I say trick or treat. So Gordie and Jeri don't have that, but I sure am glad that I know Gordie and Jeri. And I'm trying to think of some other things. Things from First Methodist, you know, when we were decorating for parties and things like that, and doing plays. And I'll tell you something that you don't know about Jeri. She's allergic to grease paint. We're at North Ward Elementary. At Merrill Lake Junior High, Atchison, and St. Pete High. Hey, well, I tell you, there are a lot of us here that go back a long time, Gordie, and I think that's a tribute to you and to Jeri that we're here. You know, of course, a lot of you never left St. Petersburg. Of course, when you've got a good thing, you just don't leave. We found Tallahassee to be pretty neat. The first weekend I was at FSU, I'd been dating somebody else for years and years, it seemed, and we went to a party Thanksgiving. I had to look up her telephone number in the phone book because I didn't know what it was. I mean, I knew what it was in Tallahassee, but anyway, when we finished the party, Jeri said, "Boy, we really do like Eleanor." And that was enough for me, so we got married later on. Thanks, Jeri. I appreciate that. For
almost all of that 15 years. And I think Rich Little said it better than anybody else, that you can count on your fingers of your hands your good friends, and I count Gordon and Jeri on my right hand, so I'm very thankful for that. And to make an official presentation on behalf of the city of St. Petersburg. Councilman Ron Mason's political roots run deep in the city of St. Petersburg. And Ron is revered not only by his constituents, but also by the St. Petersburg Times. Who recently affectionately dubbed him the Lamb Champ.
Lamb Champ?
The Lamb Champ. In addition, and many of you probably don't know this, but in 1989, the legislature in Tallahassee voted Ron the Man of the Year. Now I want to tell you what the vote was. The vote was 94 to 95. Ron, if you would come up, please, and
I just want to take time to tell you how special Gordie and Jeri are to me. They've been friends of mine since we were 6 years old, and it just goes back a very long way. But those of you who are newer friends of theirs know equally how special they are to you. And we're here tonight to celebrate their 25th anniversary, and it just is very touching for me to be here to do this. I can't believe it's been 25 years. I can't believe it. I was in the wedding, but we have known each other since we were little tiny kids, We went out to Gordie's house many times, but most Sunday afternoons were spent at Jeri's. And Jeri's mother, affectionately known to those of us who know her well as the Rock, was unrelenting in never letting Jeri do some of the things that Bill and Gordie and I wanted to do, and all the rest of the guys. We just considered, and Gordie, this is his expression, but we just considered Jeri one of the fellers. I mean, she was just one of the guys, and we don't really know what happened. I think Bill and I were probably totally astounded when suddenly Jeri and Gordie became an item. I mean, I'll never forget, I was going, well, wait a minute, what happened to this foursome relationship? It's the wonderful time we've always had together. So there are so many memories from our past, and you've heard many of them tonight from so many people here. But those of you who know Gordie and Jeri in a more contemporary vein know that they are great witnesses for the Lord. Gordie personally dragged me kicking and screaming to the Lord, and I'm very grateful for that. I always will be, Gordie, and you know that. And we have a very special personal relationship, and we go back a long way, but it's in a contemporary vein too, and I know all of you feel that closeness to Gordie and Jeri that I do. So, normally our mayor, Bob Ulrich, who wishes you his best and has known Gordie and Jeri through First Methodist, and that's where we all grew up. I mean, that's where we went. We didn't do anything else. We'd go to First Methodist, sing in the choir, and, you know, that's what we did as kids. But we do proclamations throughout the city from time to time. And we proclaim everything from Law Day to National Drug Week or to you. Whereas Gordon Campbell Nichols and Gerald and Ethel Connors will tell me and Gerald and Ethel Connors were united in holy matrimony at the First Methodist Church in St. Petersburg, Florida. It wasn't United Methodist, it was First Methodist Church in St. Petersburg, Florida, on August 14, 1964. And whereas Gordon and Geraldine have nurtured and refined their devotion for one another over 25 years and have brought forth in their love 4 wonderful children, Natalie, Noel, Gordon Lee, and Nicole. And whereas Gordon and Geraldine have faithfully served their Lord and conducted their lives as a living witness to Him. And whereas Gordon and Geraldine on this date, before their many friends and family, do celebrate the 25th anniversary of their marriage. Now, therefore, I, Ron Mason, council member of the city of St. Petersburg, this is normally Bob Ulrich, the mayor, do hereby proclaim Monday, August 14th, 1989 as Gordon and Geraldine Nichols Day. In St. Petersburg, Florida, and encourage one and all who joined me in extending congratulations and honor to this couple whose lives have touched all who know them. Furthermore, in tribute to the efforts of Gordon and Geraldine to promote the grace and beauty of the flamingo, I hereby also proclaim Monday, August 14, 1989 as Flamingo Day in St. Petersburg, and give public thanks and praise to Gordon and Geraldine for their selfless efforts on behalf of this noble pink bird. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the city of St. Petersburg, county of Pinellas, and state of Florida to be affixed to this, the 12th day of August in 1989. Ron Mason.
Needless to say, we're greatly blessed and honored by each of you all sharing this with us tonight, and we're absolutely, totally surprised. And I won't ever forget. that each of you all are very special to us, and you're each considered a loved one and friend, and we thank you very much for sharing tonight with us.
I just want to say thank you as well. And when you have friends that'll go to this length to surprise you, it's just very, very special, and we thank each one of you. And at some point in time, I want equal time to tell stories on all of you.
We don't have enough fingers between us to count all of our friends that we have, and you're all here tonight. Thank you.
They turned around. Here it comes.
And I didn't go back with you because I had to take the thing back.
Ron Mason, come down here. Well,